types of verbs or three basic categories of verbs. Those are the past tense verb, present tense verbs, and the command form, right? Past tense, present tense, and command form, right? Said we have the conjugation for each category of verbs, past tense, present tense, and command. And in the case of past tense verbs and present tense verbs, you have 14 different conjugations. 14 different conjugations. These are 5 for the singular, right? And the subject is singular. 5 when the subject is plural, and 4 when the subject is dual, right? So 5 and 5 is 10, and 4 is 14. So 14 different conjugations of the past tense verb. And when you go to the present tense verb, you'll see a similar thing. However, when it comes to the command form, it's much shorter. It's only because remember you cannot command somebody in the third person, and you cannot command your own self. So you could only command the second person. So you'd only have the second person forms of the command form of the verb, right? You have nothing for third person and nothing for first person. That's the command form. We'll get to that later on, inshallah. So today, in this lesson at Darus Thamin, we are looking over the conjugation of the past tense verb. All right. In this case, we are not dealing with any dual conjugation, but we are just dealing with singular and plural. So we went through this last week. We're going to recap it again, inshallah. So we are on page Khamsa wa Khamseen, page 55. Right? So you can follow on screen or follow in your books. So just to explain this table here, all right, we have the first column is basically the title column. It's telling you what the different categories are. And then you have also a title row at the top. Okay. So at the top we have al-mufradu and al-jam'u. Al-jam'u, mufradu, wal-jam'u, singular and plural, singular and plural. And going on the side we have al-ghaibu. Al-ghaib means the third person or those who are absent. Then we have under al-ghaib or the third person you have al-mudhakkar and al-mu'annath. Mudhakkar and mu'annath, masculine and feminine. Then we have al-mukhatab or the second person. Right? Mukhatab literally means the person that is addressed, okay, or spoken to, right? Al-mukhatab. So again, under this you have al-mudhakkar and al-mu'annath, masculine and feminine. So we have third person, we have second person, and now we have, lastly, in the last row, we have al-mutakallim, which is the person who is speaking, and in English we say that that is the first person, okay? So we have third person, second person, and first person. Of course, we have al-mudhakkar and al-mu'annath. All right, so we have here 10 different conjugations of the verb for the different categories. So let's go through it. You can say after me, al-ghaib, al-mudhakkar, hamidun, dhahaba. Hamidun, dhahaba. Right, means Hamid went. Then we have the jam', we have Hamidun wa Hashimun wa Aliyun dhahabu. Hamidun wa Hashimun wa Aliyun dhahabu. Hashimun wa Aliyun dhahabu. Right, so singular and plural. This is For third person, male, masculine. All right, third person masculine, singular and then plural. Then we have third person female, al-muannath, going at singular and then plural. Okay, so Aminatu dhahabat, Aminatu dhahabat. Then you have Aminatu wa Zainabu wa Maryamu dhahabna. Aminatu wa Zainabu wa Maryamu dhahabna. Right, so that is third person. Okay, third person masculine, third person feminine. Then we have al-mukhatab, which is second person. All right, we have masculine, feminine, and we also have singular and plural. So masculine, singular is anta. Okay, you, masculine, singular, speaking to one person, one male person. All right, anta. All right, so anta dhahabta. Anta dhahabta. Antum dhahabtum. Then you have feminine, al-mu'annath. We have anti dhahabti. Anti dhahabti. Antunna dhahabtunna. Right. So it's pretty straightforward here. Right. Then you have al-mutakallim, which is first person. All right. You have mudhakkar and mu'annath. They both use the same conjugation. All right. So ana dhahabtu. Ana dhahabtu. Nahnu dhahabna. Nahnu dhahabna. All right, so this is the table. As I said, it's conjugating the verb into 10 different ways. All right, so we just have to learn 4 more later on, inshallah, and we would have completed the entire conjugation of the past tense verb. All right, we would have touched on this probably about 2 or more years ago when we were in class in the masjid. Right, we went through the whole list, but now when we are going through the book, all right, the Medina books here by Dr. Fa Abdul Rahim, we see, that he's taking it gradually. So we see here, so far we would have covered 10 conjugations of the past tense verb. We just have to be exposed to the 4 more, and then we would have completed the past tense verb. We move on to the present tense after. All right. So going over it again. Hamidun dhahaba. If you all can say after me, Hamidun dhahaba. Hamidun wa Hashimun wa Aliyun dhahabu. Aminatu dhahabat. Aminatu dhahabat. Aminatu wa Zainabu wa Maryamu dhahabna. Anta dhahabta. Antum dhahabtum. Anti dhahabti. Antunna dhahabtunna. Ana dhahabtu. Nahnu dhahabna. Right, so this is the conjugation of the verb. So please take notes. What we are dealing with here, rarely they have given us the context of the verb here, but we need to pay attention to how the verb itself is changing in a different context. Okay, so for example, Hamidun dhahaba, we have the root verb, nothing added, nothing subtracted. Okay, then when we go to the plural, Hamidun wa Hashimun wa Aliyun dhahabu. If you all can see on the screen, we see the waw added at the end and the alif, right? Dhahabu in the table there. So we see how the verb has changed from dhahaba to dhahabu. Dhahabu. Okay? Then the feminine form we have Aminatu dhahabat. You see the ta added to the root verb. Alright? This is what we want to get out of this exercise, how the verb changes. So you'll know when you're going through, otherwise, other passages, you'll see when we see a particular form of the verb, we would know what that represents, whether it is singular feminine, singular masculine, right, or plural feminine, plural masculine, whether it is first person, second person, or third person, right, based on how the verb has changed. All right. So from the time we see the habit, we know that is third person feminine singular. Right. Again, if it's plural, Aminatu wa Zainabu wa Mariamu, we would see the habna, the noon fatha at the end. All right. Similarly, for the second person, anta dhahabta, anti dhahabti, antum dhahabtum, antunna dhahabtunna. Now, why it is important to focus on how the verb has changed here is because sometimes you would see the verb in a sentence without the corresponding um, subject alongside it, like you would see here. So sometimes in this sentence you will see dhahabti, dhahabti ila al-mudirati, right? Hal dhahabti ila al-mudirati. You won't see anti there in the sentence. You have to know when you see dhahabti, it means anti, you feminine singular. All right. If you see dhahabu with the waw at the end, and you don't see any subject along with it, you know that represents what? Masculine plural, third person. Right. So it's important to know how the verb has changed. Okay. Okay. So we're going on to the exercises now in this chapter. We said this chapter is more or less a revision chapter. Okay. So we'll just go through some of the exercises, inshallah. واحد أكمل الجمل الآتية بوضع فعل ذهب في الفراغ بعد إسناده إلى الضمير المناسب. Okay, so yeah, basically you have to conjugate the verb ذهب and fill it into the spaces provided. Okay, but you need to know the appropriate conjugation to put. So you need to first of all read the sentence, understand the context in which the verb will fit in, and then you would know which particular conjugation that we just did in the table to apply here. Okay, so we have here the first one, أين الطلاب الجدد. أين الطلاب الجدد. We are the new students. Pay attention here. It is students, plural, and it's masculine students. All right. So the answer would be ذهبوا إلى المدير. They went to the principal. All right. So we're using the conjugation ذهبوا, which is the top left-hand corner of the table. All right. ذهبوا. This is for masculine, third person. All right. Masculine, third person, plural. So here will be ذهبوا. Next one. نحن something إلى الملعب. نحن something إلى الملعب. So we see here right away, نحن means we. نحن means we. So from the time the sentence begins with we know it is first person. It is first person. And in this case, of course, we means first person plural. Doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine because it's the same thing being used. All right, so we will say نحن ذهبنا إلى الملعب. We went to the playground. We went to the playground. Good. So we want some volunteers for the others. Straightforward. All the answers are in the table. So you just look back and we can see how which particular conjugation we use in for the sentence. Right. رقم ثلاثة. أين something بعد درسي يا إخواني. Anybody want to volunteer? First of all, you need to know which of the conjugations. We know the verb, all of them, we're using the same verb, ذهب, ذهب. So we just have to see which conjugation we're using.
أين ذهبوا بعد الدرس يا إخواني.
نعم أحسنت. Brother Mickey. أين ذهبوا بعد درس يا إخواني? How do you know it's ذهبوا? We look at the sentence. So we know إخوان is plural for أخ. أخun. أخ means brother. Plural is إخوان. Alright? So we know, first of all, it's plural. We know it's masculine because it's plural of brother. Right? And we know it is second person. Right, yeah, ikhwan. Okay, so you're addressing the group, so it wouldn't be the habu, it would be the habtum, because you're addressing a group. So when you say, once you say yeah, we know you're talking to a group. So it would be the second person. Second person. So it would be the habtum. So it would be this one, right? Second person plural, masculine. So it would be aina dhahabtum. Aina dhahabtum. بعد درس يا إخواني, because he's speaking to the group who is performing that particular action directly. So they are the mukhatab. So therefore you have to say ذهبتم. Now, next one. Something إلى السوق اليوم يا أبي. Right, so we see the word ya again here. So we know he's speaking to somebody, right? But we need to make sure that the verb that we are applying, ذهب, refers to that person is speaking to. Right? Refers to that person you are speaking to. So something ila suqil yawma ya abi. Right. So abi means my father. So it's masculine singular. Right? Masculine singular. And we are speaking to him directly. So it would be second person. So we would use the what? Anta dhahabta. So the question would be Adhahabta ila suqi al yawma ya abi. Did you go to the market this morning, oh my father? Okay, so this is the question here. Next one, volunteer for number 5. رقم 5. أنا ما something إلى المكتبة يوم.
أنا أنا ما ذهبت إلى المكتبة اليوم.
نعم أحسنت. أنا ما ذهبت إلى المكتبة اليوم. So it's first person singular. So once you see Anna, we know it's first person singular. Right, next one. رقم 6. أمي something إلى المستشفى. أمي something إلى المستشفى. Be careful here because we are speaking about my mother, but are we speaking to her? Be careful. Are we speaking to her or are we speaking about her? If we're speaking to her, we use second person, feminine. If we're speaking about her, then we use third person, feminine. Okay? So here is Ummi, my mother, something ila al-mustashfa.
أمي ذهبت إلى المستشفى.
نعم. أمي ذهبت إلى المستشفى. Right? My mother went to the hospital. Right? So use the third person, feminine, singular in this case. Now, رقم 7. Something لزيارة خالتكن يا بناتي. Right. So something لزيارة خالتكن يا بناتي. So first of all, who is doing the action? So the question here is is the Hamza and the Aleph to ask a question. We know the verb is dhahaba, to go, because that is what we are applying to all sentences. Then we have li ziyarati, for visiting. Khalatukunna, your aunt, your feminine plural. Kunna means your feminine plural. Okay, just like assalamu alaikum, kum means feminine, masculine plural, masculine plural. So if it's feminine plural, you would say kunna, right? لزيارة خالتكن يا بناتي. So again, we see the word ya here. So these are the people who are being addressed. Ya banati, oh my daughters. So we know here it's second person. We would use the second person form of the verb, and of course, if it's banat, it's feminine plural, right? So banat is plural of bint, banat. So it's feminine plural. So we would use, any volunteers? Dhahabtunna, right? The second person feminine plural. Adhahabtunna لزيارة خالتكن يا بناتي. Did you go to visit your aunt, oh my daughters? Okay. Next one. رقم 8. Something أخي إلى المطار. Something أخي إلى المطار. We're using the verb ذهب. So what we would use here? Any volunteers?
ذهب
ذهب.
أخي إلى المطار.
Now, so we just use the third person. Third person, masculine singular. ذهب أخي إلى المطار. My brother went to the airport. Right. جزاك الله خير. Last one. something إلى المدرسة يا عائشة. يا عائشة. So we're speaking to Aisha. Okay. So therefore we would use second person, feminine, singular. So we would say Anti ذهبتي. So in this case, we would say ذهبتي إلى المدرسة يا عائشة. يا عائشة too. Right? Good. Any questions on this? So we see how we apply the conjugation of the past tense verb in the different scenarios. Let's look at the next question here. أكمل الجمل الآتية بوضع فعل ماض مناسب في كل من الأماكن الخالية. So the same thing again. We have sentences and we have to fill these blanks with a suitable past tense verb. So the previous exercise was only with the verb ذهب. Now we can use any past tense verb, right? And we have to conjugate it in the suitable manner according to the sentence. All right. So let's see if we can go through this. First one, something al-adhan ya Muhammad. Something al-adhan ya Muhammad. What do we think? What do we do to the adhan? Either call the adhan or we hear the adhan, right? Naam. So what do you think is a suitable? So more than one verb can go in here, right? So what do you think is one of the possible verbs you can put in here? And was the correct conjugation for it? Any volunteers? Was the verb for here? For here. Sami'a. So if we are conjugating it, now pay attention to the sentence. It ends with Ya Muhammad. So therefore, we're speaking directly to Muhammad. So we would use which form? First person, second person, or third person? Second person we would use, right? And would it be masculine or feminine? Masculine. So second person masculine. And would it be singular or plural? Singular. So second person masculine singular, which is anta, right? Give me 1 second here. Be something kurata asallata al We something basketball today. First of all, um, we are using the first person plural. First person plural. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine that is speaking because it's the same thing being used. Right? So we something basketball today. First person plural. What is a verb we can use here? La'iba means to play. Alright? So what would it be? Anybody?
لعبنا لعبنا
نعم. نحن لعبنا كرة السلة كرة السلة اليوم. We played basketball today. So the verb لعب changes to لعبنا with the noon fatha aleph at the end. Just as we see in the table here, right? نحن ذهبنا ذهبنا, right? So in this case it will be لعبنا. Next one, something قمصاني ومناديلي يا أمي. So in the passage we did before, remember the son asked the mother if she ironed his shirts. Remember that? Wash and iron the shirts, and the mother says she washed them and she ironed them. Remember that? So it could be wash, it could be iron. So ghasala is the wash, and um, kawa means the iron, right? So if you say wash, ghasala, you could say ghasalti قمصاني ومناديلي يا أمي. So the end of the sentence or the end of the question there gives us the clue as to which form we're using. All right. So ya ummi, oh my mother. So it's second person feminine singular. Second person feminine singular, which is anti. Okay, so anti dhahabti, anti qara'ti, anti kharajti, and so on, right? So in this case it's ghasala, so it's ghasalti, ghasalti قمصاني ومن مناديلي يا أمي. Did you wash my shirt and handkerchiefs, oh my mother? فهمتم؟ نعم. غسلتي غسل غسل, and then you add the ta with the kasra below, you get غسلتي. غسلتي قمصاني ومناديلي يا أمي. Did you wash my shirts and my handkerchiefs, oh my mother? Right? So I'm gonna leave the rest of this, inshallah. I'll encourage everyone to practice because it will take a while to go through all of this. So please practice. We have a few weeks off, well, several weeks off. All right. So this lesson number 2 is a very good practice in applying the conjugation of the past tense verbs. Okay, so please try to complete these sentences over the weeks that we have off. Right? Number 3, تأمل ما يلي ذهب. Right, so ذهب is the fi'l and the ضمير المستتر is the fa'il. So for example, if you say أين أين المدرس? Where is the teacher? It's a question. Okay, we are asking somebody, where is the teacher? أين المدرس? Where is the teacher? Okay, the person answers, ذهب إلى المدير. He went to the principal. Okay, so the answer is ذهب إلى المدير. However, we have the situation of a verbal sentence and a nominal sentence. Okay, I want you all to pay attention to this. Verbal sentence and nominal sentence. We all have been saying this a lot. Verbal sentence starts with a verb, nominal sentence starts with a noun. Verbal sentence, the sentence that starts with the verb, starts with a verb obviously, and then the second part of the sentence is the fa'il, or the doer of the verb. So these are the components of the verbal sentence. Verb, then the doer of the verb. All right? In this particular scenario I give, where somebody asks, where is the teacher? Ain al mudarris. Where is the teacher? And the next person replies, Dhahaba ila al mudiri. He went to the principal. So we have three words there. Dhahaba, we have ila, which means to or towards, and then we have al mudiri. Simple sentence, right? It's not in the book there, it's a scenario given, right? So, Dhahaba ila al mudiri. Three words. However, the reply that the person gave, Dhahaba ila al mudiri, this reply is a verbal sentence because it starts with a verb, Dhahaba. Okay? So, therefore, we just said that the rules are that you must have a verb, do have a verb, and sometimes, of course, the object of the sentence, right? Maf'ul bihi. So in this case, the reply of the person, Dhahaba ila al mudiri, we have the verb Dhahaba, but where is the doer of the verb? Because ila is not the fa'il, this is a preposition, right? It's a harf, it's a particle, right? And al mudir is not the one who is doing the action of going, right? He is the place where the person went to, okay? So who is it? Where is the doer of the verb in that sentence? It's not expressed. It is not expressed. In this case, it is not expressed. So what is it called? It's called damir mustatir. Damirun mustatirun. Look at the book here. Damirun mustatirun. Hope everybody can see it. If you can't see on the screen, we are on page 57. All right, first line in exercise 3. All right. So in that scenario where we have dhahaba ila mudiri, dhahaba is a verb, as we see here. Dhahaba is equal to the fa'il. You all see that in the books? You can see it on the screen here too, right? And then you have the damir mustatir, which means a hidden pronoun. The hidden pronoun or the understood pronoun, it is the fa'il, the doer of the verb. In this case, it is huwa, meaning the person is spoke about in the question before, right? That is the mudarris, right? So this is what is called damir mustatir. Okay, you can say that after me. Damirun mustatirun. Damirun mustatirun. Right, the hidden pronoun. Right, it's from the word sitar. You all know the word sitar? Sitar is like a curtain or a drapes. And normally curtain or drapes is put up to hide something, right? So mustatirun means something that's hidden or draped off or blocked off. All right. So damirun mustatirun is that pronoun that is hidden, the hidden pronoun. All right. So in this case, it is a hidden pronoun. However, when we get the other conjugations of the verb, like for example, dhahabu, dhahabu. All right. Here we have something that's expressed. All right. So we have dhahaba, which is the fa'il. So for example, again, another scenario, somebody asks, Aina tullabul jududu? Where are the new students? Where are the new students? Somebody will say, Dhahabu ila al-mudiri. They went to the principal. Dhahabu. In this case, Dhahabu, it is both the fi'l and the fa'il. So the verb and the do of the verb. Where is the verb? The verb is dhahaba. Dhahaba is the verb. Where is the fa'il? It is the waw that is added on. This pronoun is added on at the end. The waw, this is the fa'il. Okay? You all see it in your books here? All right. When you go to the feminine singular third person, you have dhahabat. Okay? أين آمنة ذهبت إلى المديرة. Where's Amina? She went to the principal. So ذهبت. In this case, ذهب is the fi'l. The ta at the end, it is not called the fa'il, right? This is the ta'u ta'nith or the alamatu ta'nith. Alamatu ta'nith, or the sign of it being the female or the feminine verb. Sign of it being the feminine verb is the ta'u ta'nith. This is not the fa'il, right? So it's easy, very easy to remember. All of the past tense verbs, all of the past tense verbs, the pronouns or the added on suffixes at the end would be considered the fa'il. Would be considered what? The fa'il, or the doer of that particular verb, except for the singular, masculine singular, third person, and feminine singular third person. These two, they are the doer of the verb is the damir mustatir. So dhahaba, damir mustatir. Dhahabat, damir mustatir. All the others, the added on suffix at the end, they are the doer of the verb or the fa'il. Right? Let's look at the others. Dhahabna. Dhahabna. You have the dhahaba, which is the fa'il or the verb. Then you have the na at the end, which is the fa'il. Okay? Let's look at the next one. You have dhahabta. Right? Anta dhahabta. So dhahabta, again, the dhahaba is the fi'l, is the verb, and the ta at the end is the fa'il. Ta with the fatha. Fa'il. Right? Let's look at the next one. You have dhahabtum. Dhahabtum. So again, dhahaba is the fi'l, and the ta is the fa'il, and the mim at the end is the alamatul jamma. The mim at the end is the alamatul jamma. Right? This distinction between the ta and the mim in the suffix tum is a little bit advanced grammar here. All right, but we could just say the tum at the end, it is the fa'il. All right, then you have the habti again. The haba is the fa'il, and then the t at the end is the fa'il. And similarly, you have the dhahabtunna, dhahaba is the fa'il, the ta is the fa'il, and the nun shadda is the alamatul jam'a for the muannath. Then you have dhahabtu, again, the dhahaba is the fa'il, the tu is the fa'il, right? Then you have dhahabna, the dhahaba is the fa'il, and the na is the fa'il. So basically, all the pronouns that are added at the end are the fa'il, except in the case of the singular, masculine, third person, and feminine, singular, feminine, third person. Right, so both third person singular verbs, the fa'il would be damir mustatir, or the hidden pronoun, right? Right, so last couple exercises. Number 4, رقم 4, عين الفاعل فيما يلي. So they say basically point out what is the fa'il. The fa'il is different to the fa'il. Fa'il is the verb. The fa'il is the doer of the verb. All right? Said that many times before. Just a reminder. So okay. So what is the fa'il in the following words? We have kharajtu. So in this case, the fa'il will be the tu. All right? Jalasna, in this case the fa'il will be the na. Okay? Sami'ti, sami'ti. In this case the fa'il will be the ta, and so on. So you have to go through, right? What we have here, like this one here, fataha. Fataha, where is the fa'il, the doer of the verb? It is damir mustatir, or the hidden damir, hidden pronoun, right? In this case, it is masculine, so it would refer back to huwa, he. Okay, if we saw the ta or ta'nis there, and it was fatahat, then we would say it is damir mustatir. The fa'il will be damir mustatir, but it would refer back to hiya, meaning it's feminine. Okay. All right, so we will stop there, inshallah ta'ala, today. We'll stop there today. We have a couple points to go through again. We'll go through that next time, inshallah. When we resume, as we would normally do, we do a quick recap of this lesson so that we can refresh our minds again when we are starting back, the class. And then we, of course, once we recap this, we will go on to our new chapter, which is chapter 9. All right, inshallah ta'ala. Any questions or announcements?